Session 621, October 16th, 1972, 9:40 p.m. Monday. Seth spoke through Jane 5 times last week. On Monday and Wednesday evenings, he furnished material on this book, plus some personal material for us. Discouraged at length Tuesday night in ESP class, spoke briefly Friday afternoon to a visiting editor from Time magazine. The subject is Freudian psychology. Okay, Freudian.
Psychology. Yeah.
And on Saturday evening, talked informally to a group of friends about daily life in Italy during the time he had been a minor pope in the 4th century AD. Oh, it's interesting. Okay. Reincarnation wise, Seth had first mentioned his papal experience, and that means the Pope experience
Correct.
in an class in an ESP class session in May 1971. See chapter 22 of Seth Speaks. So I made just a few notes on the Saturday night material after our guest left. We had been discussing current population problems when Seth came through to tell us that in the 4th century, infanticide, at least to his knowledge, had been quite common. Oh, yeah. And people who were born used to die. Oh, yeah. Before a child was baptized, it was considered to be the proprietary of its parents, who could do with it as they wished, with no stigma attached. Surplus children who would have been an impossible burden upon the earth, upon the
Economy of the
economy
times.
on the economy of the times, its housing, food supply, etc., were simply killed before baptism. Once the child was baptized, however, it became a sacred being, possessing a soul and the right to life. Say
No,
added
that
that
became the belief system.
what's that?
No, that became the belief system that he
Oh
had a
yeah,
soul only after being baptized.
correct.
Very cruel.
That is the Christian,
No,
yeah,
very
correct.
cruel, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Seth added that our records of those early centuries are confused as far as the church, baptism, and children are concerned. There was quite a bit more to the session, but I didn't think my memory of it was clear enough for accurate notes. Good
Mhm.
evening again. Good evening, Seth. Dictation. I am not minimizing the importance of the inner self. All of its infinite resources are placed at the disposal of your conscious mind, however, and for your conscious purposes. Pause. There has been, on the one hand, a too great reliance upon the conscious mind, while its characteristics and mechanisms were misunderstood, so that proponents of the conscious reasoning mind, above all, theories advocate a use of intellect and reasoning powers while not recognizing their source in the inner self. See, this
So
is
this
so
is an
that
important paradigm. Yeah.
yeah, that proponents of the conscious reasoning mind, above all, theories advocate a use of intellect and reasoning powers while not recognizing their source in the inner self. That was the, yeah.
Hmm.
The conscious mind was therefore expected to perform alone, so to speak, ignoring the highly intuitive inner information that is also available to it. It was not supposed to be aware of such data. Yet, any individual knows quite well that intuitive hunches, inspiration, precognitive information, or clairvoyant material has often risen to conscious knowledge. Usually, it is shoved away and disregarded because you have been taught that the conscious mind should not hold with such nonsense. So, you have been told to trust your conscious mind, while at the same time, you are led to believe it could only be aware of stimuli that came to it from the outside physical world. On the other hand, there are those who stress the great value of the inner self, the emotional being, at the expense of the conscious mind. These theories hold that the intellect and usual consciousness are far inferior to the inner unconscious portions of being. So these theories hold the intellect and usual consciousness are far inferior to the inner unconscious portions of being, and that all the answers are hidden from view. The followers of this belief consider the conscious mind in such derogatory terms that it almost seems to be supercilious, supercilious cancer that sprouted like a growth upon man's psychic, impeding rather than aiding his progress and understanding. So that means they are giving more power to the conscious mind, not the
So
subconscious
not
mind,
the inner being. So
not the inner
outward
self.
appearance is becoming more important compared to the inner being, which is far more
Mhm.
critical actually. And that
Correct.
is why he says it is more like a cancer.
Cancer growth. That is how
Yeah,
people became, they're really outward, not inward.
correct.
Both groups ignore the miraculous unity of the psyche, the fine natural interworkings that exist between the so-called conscious mind and the so-called unconscious, the incredibly rich interactions as each gives.
Correct.
So they're ignoring
Isn't
the
it?
interaction of those two. The unconscious simply contains great portions of your own experience in which you have been taught not to believe. Again, your conscious mind is meant to look into the exterior world and into the interior one. The conscious mind is a vehicle for the expression of the soul in corporeal terms. Okay,
In
the
physical
conscious mind is,
terms.
yeah, for the expression of the soul in corporeal terms,
Hmm.
in physical terms. Yes, he uses corporeal a lot. That means physical.
Correct.
It
Correct.
is your method of assessing temporal experience according to the beliefs that it holds about the nature of reality. It is your method of assessing temporal experience according to the beliefs that it holds about the nature of reality. So, according to the person's perceptions and reality, he holds his
Correct.
beliefs.
Correct.
It automatically causes the body to react in certain ways. Because of that, the body acts in certain ways. I cannot say this often enough. Your beliefs from your reality, your body and its condition, your personal relationships, your environment, and en masse your civilization and world. So that is how we create because of our beliefs the
Then
whole.
that becomes our reality, whereas the reality in general is different. Hmm.
Correct. Your beliefs automatically attract the appropriate emotions. They
Hmm.
reinforce themselves in imagination. And at the risk of repeating myself, because this is so important, imagination and feeling follow your beliefs. Imagination and feeling follow your beliefs. It is not the other way around. This is very important. So
Hmm.
imagination and feeling, feeling follow your beliefs. If now a brief innocuous enough example, you meet an individual often enough and think he gives me a pain in the neck. It is surely no coincidence that you find yourself with a painful neck in future encounters with this person because you are attracting. by saying, by saying and thinking, you are attracting.
No,
The
you are
suggestion
creating that reality for yourself. That's what he's saying.
The suggestion is quite a conscious one, however, emphatically given by yourself and carried out not symbolically, but most practically, most literally. In other words, the conscious mind gives its orders and the inner self carries them out. See, the conscious, in other words, the conscious mind gives its orders and the inner self carries them out. This is very good. In this existence, you are physically oriented. Surely, then the conscious, physically oriented mind is the one that is meant to make deductions about the nature of physical reality. Otherwise,
Hmm.
you would have no will. So conscious physical oriented mind, that is the one, it makes deductions. Okay. In Western culture, since the Industrial Revolution after 1760, the idea grew that there was little connection between the object in the world and the individual. Now, this is not a history book, so I will not go into the reasons behind this idea, but will merely mention that it was an overreaction, in newer terms at least, to previous religious concepts. Before that time, man did believe that he could affect matter and the environment through his thoughts. With the Industrial Revolution, however, even the elements of nature lost their living quality in man's eyes. See, since then, we started ignoring nature. They became objects to be categorized, named, torn apart, and
Examine.
examined. So after the Industrial Revolution, we started ignoring the nature. You do not dissect a pet, a cat, or dog. So when a man began to dissect the universe in those terms, he had already lost his sense of love for it. It became soulless for him. Only then could he examine it, you see, without qualm. What does this mean? Qualm?
Without any question, doubt, all that.
Without any question, and without being aware of the living voice that protested. And so, in his great fascination for what made things work, in his great curiosity to understand the heredity of a flower, say he forgot what he could learn by smelling a flower, looking at it, watching it be itself. So, yeah, he was not thinking as alive. Yeah, so he examined dead nature. Often he had to kill life in order, he thought, to discover its reality. You cannot understand what makes things live when you must first rob their life. And so, when man learned to categorize, number, and dissect nature, he lost its living quality and no longer felt a part of it. To some important extent, he denied his heritage, for spirit is born into nature and the soul, and for a time resides in flesh. So he completely forgot that the soul is inside the flesh body.
Correct.
Yeah. Spirit is born into nature and the soul. See, that is very important. To some important extent, he denied his heritage. For spirit is born into nature and the soul, and for a time he resides in flesh. Man's thoughts no longer seem to have any effect upon nature because in his mind he saw himself apart from it. In an ambiguous fashion, while concentrating upon nature's exterior aspects in a very conscious manner, he still ended up denying the conscious powers of his own mind. He became blind to the connection between his thoughts and his physical environment and experience. So he became blind to his connection between the thoughts, physical environment, and the experience. Do you want a break? No. Nature became then an adversary that he must control. Then nature started reacting. Nature then became adversary that he must control. Yet underneath he felt that he was at the mercy of nature because in cutting himself off from it, he also cut himself off from using many of his own abilities. So that means, like cutting trees and ignoring the nature. And by doing
distancing himself from that, he forgot about its influence on him and that he is part and parcel of that.
So he started going away from nature eventually,
exactly. By distancing, that's what he ended up doing. Correct.
Yeah. It was at this point that the nature of the conscious mind itself became so misunderstood, and those unrecognized or denied powers were assigned to unconscious portions of the self by ensuing schools of psychology. Very natural functions of the conscious mind, therefore, were assigned to the underground and cut off from normal use. Got it. So important ones, they were cut off and they were buried beneath, or and only unrecognized powers were came out. Now you may take a break. Okay, let's go down. Jane had been very well dissociated, with her delivery intense and often fast. She shook her head as she came out of trance. Wow, was he ever going strong, boy? I didn't have the slightest idea of what he was going to talk about tonight. But then I saw that he had one whole block of stuff to get through before he gave us any break. Okay, resuming the same active matter, like same active manner. Now resume the dictation. Then I will have a remark to make. Give us a moment, because the conscious mind has been so stressed. While stripped of many of its characteristics, there is now an overreaction occurring in which normal consciousness is being put down, colloquially speaking. So that is what the normal conscious is being put down. Emotion and imagination are being considered as far superior. Emotion and imagination are being considered as far superior. The displaced powers of consciousness are still being assigned to the unconscious, and great efforts are being made to reach what seems to be normally inaccessible areas of awareness. To this end, drugs are utilized, cults set up, and there are methods and training manuals galore. Period. So that means in 1970s, I think a lot of people were doing all this to get
Hippies,
into
hippie
that.
culture. Now, this entire thing
Hippie,
came up during the hippie culture.
hippie culture. So, yet there is nothing basically inaccessible about such inner knowledge or experience. It can all be quite conscious and utilized to enrich the reality that you know. The conscious mind is not some prodigal child or poor relative of the self. It can quite freely focus into inner reality when you understand that it can. You again have a conscious mind. You can change the focus of your own consciousness. So when you understand properly, you can change and focus on your own consciousness. There have been tyrannies propagated for various reasons by the race of man upon itself. One of the greatest, however, is the idea that the conscious mind does not have any touch with the fountains of its own being, that it is divorced from nature, and that the individual is therefore at the mercy of unconscious drives over which he has no control. That's what he thought.
No, that's what is
Man,
the result. There
yeah,
have been tyrannies propagated for various reasons by the race of man upon itself. On the greatest, however, one of the greatest, however, is the idea that conscious mind does not have any touch with the fountain of its own being. That means the conscious mind has no control, that it is divorced from nature.
Oh, sir, conscious mind is body mind, you're saying.
Yes,
right.
conscious mind is body mind. No, conscious mind is
So,
not the body mind. Sorry, Kirti. Conscious mind is the aware mind, where when we are awake and conscious. Okay.
Yeah,
aware-
that is body mind, right, sir? Which we perceive through the senses.
Which we call body mind. Which we call body mind.
The subconscious is where
the one we use senses.
body mind is what we use senses,
Conscious
right?
mind. No. Conscious mind is the conscious mind is the one that you are responding to senses, what you are seeing,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
right. Subconscious mind is the collection of what the conscious mind has accepted.
The stored system, belief system, and all.
Correct.
Hmm.
So body mind becomes the habituated thinking.
Habituated thinking. So then that's a. Hmm.
That becomes the ego, no? Whatever the conscious mind is able to
Hmm.
identify, that becomes the body mind, which is the subconscious.
So
So
subconscious
body
is
mind
body
is
mind. You're saying.
Subconscious is body mind, not conscious.
Oh. Then what is conscious mind? Then actively what we are perceiving.
Whatever we are actively pursuing. But then, after the initial processing, you start getting dictated by the body mind.
Yeah, it will go under control, auto mode.
Correct, correct. That is the body mind.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
See, the body mind already has got certain beliefs. To change it, you need the conscious mind. Incidentally, 95% of it is subconscious mind. Only 5% is your conscious, unfortunately.
Chandra sir,
So if you are
like,
saying if you are totally aware, that means we are using conscious mind.
So you become conscious of everything. That means you are increasing the
aware.
quantum or the influence of the conscious. Yeah, Ratna ma'am.
so like we can divide that into three things. The conscious mind is what we acquire the knowledge through senses, not the knowledge, the information through senses, right? And then also analyzing that. And the unconscious mind is what the body mind type that habituated.
Unconscious mind is
That
the
is the
body,
body mind
no,
thing.
the physical body, not body mind.
Because that's
See,
part of habit.
correct. That forms the habit.
Yeah.
See,
So the
what I'm
subconscious
searching,
mind is the memories of what we ingrained through
whatever you have
rumination.
accepted.
Yes.
See, this structure.
Our beliefs are.
One second. Right. Just take a look at this slide. Have you got all three?
Yes.
This line is the one that empowers you to think independently. This is known as the critical thinking layer. That layer is the separation between your conscious mind and the subconscious. This is the unconscious mind, the body. Body is driven by every emotion, every program that is coming out as an emotional energy. Are you able to distinguish these three?
So the bottom circle is the unconscious mind.
Correct. That is the body mind.
Yes. Yes, that's fine.
Kirti, your
Yes, sir. Now I got it.
view is now clarified.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So this is very important. This is the way Bob Proctor used to represent the human mind, or not the human mind, the human being.
Man therefore feels himself powerless. If the purpose of civilization is to enable the individual to live in peace, joy, security, and abundance, then that idea has served him poorly. That means, thinking that it is the idea that the conscious mind does not have any,
Correct.
Power.
Yes.
When a man feels no connection between personal reality and experience and the surrounding world, then he or she loses even an animal's sense of pure competence and belonging. Your beliefs once more from your reality, shaping your life and all of its conditions. So that is yadbhavam tadbhavati. Whatever way you think, that is how you are shaping up. All of the powers of your inner self are set into activation as a result of your conscious beliefs. So all of the powers of your inner self are set into activation as a result of your conscious beliefs. You have lost a sense of responsibility for your conscious thought because you have been taught that it is not what
No,
you
sorry.
have been
What forms your life?
that you have been taught that it is not what forms your life. So we didn't know
Correct.
until now, even the thoughts we create with our thoughts. You have been told that regardless of your beliefs, you are terrorized by unconscious conditioning.
That becomes the body mind. The
Yeah,
unconscious conditioning,
correct.
but conditioning is equal to a habit. It is
And
this
also,
conditioning, correct.
yeah, here he says you have been told that regardless of your beliefs, that is
Correct.
how you were programmed. Yeah, regardless of
Exactly.
your beliefs, terrorized by unconscious conditioning. So that means nobody can
It's
do this.
what you end up identifying yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole following sentence to be underlined. The whole following sentence to be underlined. And as long as you hold that conscious belief, you will experience it as reality. All through these pages, Jane's delivery was most absorbed and energetic. I easily felt Seth staring at me through her wide open eyes. So this is, and as long as you hold the conscious belief, you will experience it as reality. This is what he wants to underline. Okay.
Also,
Some of
underline.
Some of your beliefs originated in your childhood, but you are not at their mercy unless you believe that you are. Because your imagination follows your beliefs, you can find yourself in a vicious circle in which you constantly paint pictures in your mind that reinforce negative aspects of your life.
Correct.
Negative aspects of your life. Yeah. So whatever in childhood you have this conditioned beliefs. That's what the negative aspects they become. The imaginative events generate appropriate emotions, which automatically bring about hormonal changes in your body or affect your behavior with others or cause you to interpret events always in the light of your beliefs. And so, daily experience will seem to justify what you believe
That
more
is
and
the
more.
reason we have come up with the statement which says your point of view. When we argue also, right, we end up saying that's your view.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only way The only way out of it is to become aware of your beliefs, aware of your own conscious thought, and to change your beliefs so that you bring them more in line with the kind of reality you want to experience. So you need to change into that positive, from negative to positive.
So that's where the personality change can be effective. Correct.
As mentioned, in the 614th session in chapter 2, the first important step is to realize that your beliefs about reality are just that beliefs about reality and not necessarily attributes of reality. So it is your own beliefs, not attributes. You must make a clear distinction between you and your beliefs. You must then realize that your beliefs are physically materialized. What you believe to be true in your experience is true. To change the physical effect, you must change the original belief. So we need to change the original belief while being quite aware that for a time, physical materialization of the old beliefs may still hold.
That means you may still be under the influence of your old belief.
If you completely understand what I am saying, however, your new beliefs will and quickly begin to show themselves in your experience. But you must not be concerned for their emergence. For this brings up the fear that the new ideas will not materialize. So that fear will be there, okay, whether it works or not.
Correct.
And so, yeah, we know the hormones. I think they're explaining about the hormones. Hormones are the secretions formed by the ductless glands of the endocrine system, the adrenals, thyroid, pancreas, etc. These complex compounds are then carried by body fluids to other organs or tissues, where they have certain effects. Here, as always, Seth maintains that we are not at the mercy of such involuntary processes. And so, this
And so
this
this
negates your purpose.
correct.
That means no doubt whether this works or not, that negates your purpose. Even the
Correct.
new belief doesn't work. I mentioned a
No,
game
no,
in
no, no,
which
no, no. Not the new belief doesn't work. You should be aware that the old belief may surface so that you can scuttle it if it surfaces. Otherwise, the new belief will not work.
you must not be concerned for their emergence. For this brings up
Correct.
the fear new ideas will not materialize. And so this negates, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that fear, yeah.
Correct.
I mentioned a game in which you playfully adopt an idea that you want to materialize. Then imagine it happening in your mind. Know that all events are mental and psychic first, and then these will happen in physical terms. So, see, know that all events are mental and psychic first, and then these will happen in physical terms. But do not keep watching yourself. Continue with the game. This is what Dr. Joe Dispenza did in his manifestation.
Now, don't you experience it in the manifestation exercise you are doing in Unified?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Basically, eventually what we are going to, yeah, it's going to happen. We have to visualize.
No, you
Yeah.
visualize and play the game. Don't look for it whether it has happened. Only when you let go that, it will actually manifest.
See, I remember in Joe Dispenza's case, when he was lying on the bed, he was imagining already he was going to parties with his friends and eating in the restaurants with his friends. You know, he was all imagining all those, even in dying and healing in that process also. So that is what I think he's mentioning. Like
exactly.
he had to, yeah. You are
No,
doing the
in
same
fact,
thing now.
actually, there is another book. I think I circulated it earlier when we started. It talks about what not to do in manifestation, the bane of, right? So,
Mm.
there is one case study in which a boy expects that somebody is going to give him ice cream.
Mm.
Okay. Now, he keeps on, every person who is knocking the door, he expects his ice cream. Then he forgets about it, then the ice cream lands on. Till he has consciously been looking out for it, he doesn't get the ice cream.
That's what he said. Continue. Okay, here also, I think somewhere he mentioned, yeah.
Correct. Continue the game. Don't expect
Yeah,
it to.
watching.
Correct.
Yeah, but
Do not keep watching. Correct.
Correct.
And we experience this. You go, let us say somebody is supposed to meet you at some given time, right? Your impatience starts increasing. There is this guy, he said he will come here by now, he has still not come, he has still not come, right? He will not come. But the moment you start ignoring that you are expecting him, right? You may say, I think I'll wait for another 10 minutes and then I will go and probably get myself a cup of tea. You finish the cup of tea, he is coming and waiting.
That's what expectation. See, like putting a seed, you're not giving enough time to grow. You keep watching it and taking out.
And by asking him why he has still not come, still not come, still not come, that outcome gets registered with the universe.
Correct. That's why even for manifestation, they say not to use the NOT, negative terms.
Exactly.
You're doing the same thing now constantly and automatically with whatever beliefs you have, and they are being as constantly and automatically translated. So that's it. It
Yeah,
is the separation of the self from beliefs that it believes that is so important initially.
correct.
So, however, you are not to hammer at yourself consciously. Imagination and emotions are your great allies, friends, your great friends. Imagination and emotion are your great friends. Your conscious direction will automatically bring them into play. You can see why it is so important that you examine all of your beliefs about yourself and the nature of your reality. And one belief, if you let it, it will lead you to another.
Hmm.
So slowly, if you keep doing it, it will lead to another. Now, much has been written saying that if imagination and willpower are not in conflict, imagination will win.
Are in conflict. Are in conflict.
Are in conflict. Sorry, correct. Sorry, sorry. Much has been written saying that if imagination and willpower are in conflict, imagination will not, it will win. Sorry, if imagination and willpower are in conflict, imagination will win. Got it. Yeah. So now I tell you, if you examine yourself, you will find deeper and louder that imagination and willpower are never, underlined twice, in conflict.
So what
Your
he's
beliefs
saying
may,
is don't believe that they are in conflict, even remotely.
yeah. So no doubt. Don't doubt it.
Correct.
Your beliefs may conflict, but your imagination will always follow your willpower and your conscious thoughts and beliefs. So your imagination will follow your willpower and your conscious thoughts and beliefs.
Correct.
If this is not apparent to you, then it is because you have not as yet completely examined your beliefs. If this is not apparent to you, then it is because you have not as yet completely examined your beliefs. Let us take a simple example. You are overweight. You have tried diets to no avail. You tell yourself that you want to lose weight. You follow what I have said so far. You change the belief. You say, because I believe I am overweight, so I will think of myself at my ideal weight. So this is how we should. So you say, because I believe I am overweight, so I will think of myself at my ideal weight. But
No,
you find
this
that,
is how you will think. This is how you will think. And that
yeah.
will
So
become counterproductive to the purpose with which you are acting.
because using overweight word,
Correct.
I am overweight word, that is the wrong. Yeah. But you find that you still overeat. In your mind's eye, you still see yourself as overweight. Imagine the goodies and snacks, and in your terms, give in to your imagination, and you think that that willpower is useless and conscious thought powerless. So that overrides, I am overweight, that overrides the power and imagination.
Correct.
But pretend that you go beyond this point. In sheer desperation, you say, all right, I will examine my belief further. Now, this is a hypothetical case, so you may find one of innumerable beliefs. You may, for instance, find that you believe you are not worthy and hence should not look attractive, or that health means physical weight and it is dangerous to be slim.
So
Or you may
each
find,
influence, yeah, how that will influence you further.
Or you may find that you feel and believe that you are so vulnerable that you need the weight so people will think twice before they show you around. In all of these cases, the ideas will be conscious. You have entertained them often, and your imagination and emotions are in league with them and not in conflict. Oh, you have entertained often, and your imagination and emotions are in league with them and not in conflict. So you can do both ways in
No, no, no. What he is saying is don't give in to your imagination. Don't put them in conflict. Use them always only in one direction.
one direction. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Here, one underlying thing is so even if we say I want it to be thin, but if we have a emotional belief that I'm not unworthy, like what we have learned in the Soul Speaks, hiding behind the obesity. So that is another, belief, but it may not be related, but those sub beliefs also can um help not to manifest that.
Yeah. That sub-belief will become a belief.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. You have entertained them often. Yeah, that's why the conflict. Okay. And not do you want a break or do you want to end the session as you will? To me, Jane's very deep trance had seemed to be quite impervious, her delivery fuel by a driving energy. She confirmed that she had not been bothered in the slightest by anything, and added that Seth was really able to continue until dawn. It certainly seemed so. Moreover, she sat waiting for me to finish these notes so that Seth could return. He was ready with some personal data for us, she said, and this would be followed by more book dictation if we stayed up for it. Seth did return at 11:35 with some information deleted here. He also gave some unrecorded material during a freer exchange between the two of us. I described this to Jane after the session while it was fresh in my memory. At 11:52, Jane sat quietly, still in trance, while I wrote a few lines. Then she resumed book dictation at 11:55. Now, you may be poor. Following my suggestions, you may try to alter the belief and say, my wants are taken care of, and I have a great abundance. Yet, you may still find yourself unable to meet your bills. Imaginatively, you may see the next bill coming. With you unable to pay it, I will have enough money, you say. This is my new belief, but nothing changes. So you think my conscious thoughts mean nothing. Yet, upon examination of your beliefs, you may find a deep conviction of your own unworthiness. So that means my conscious thoughts mean nothing. That means that is conflicting.
Correct. No, you are continuing to think in your old self one way or the other. This is, right? This is what we learned in that gulping experience.
Not only that, see, because one or two times if it doesn't work immediately, when you expect immediately, then the ego mind says, oh, okay, this is not going to happen. But you
you are
need to
giving
wait
into the other side. You are giving into the other side which you don't want.
Correct. See, initially he was thinking, I will have enough money, this is my new belief. When nothing happens, but nothing changes, so you think, my conscious thoughts, that means, that.
I think so. Probably we should draw a diagram which says that imagination, gestation, and then manifestation. Because during that gestation, you have got the possibility of going back to your old belief.
Correct.
Or considering that your imagination is worthless, right? Or nothing is going to change. So the gestation period between the manifestation and actually in the soul contract, he writes it very differently. The same thing. He says, always remember, any manifestation starts with the law of opposite.
Mhm.
So what he says is, in the first round, when you imagine, your thoughts will go in the positive direction. But what will
Mm.
first come to you is the negative. Don't give up at that point. Don't give up at that point. Continue, and you will get the positive. So there are three different views of that same line. Imagination is more dominant or predominant compared to your actual.
Yeah.
Is everyone getting that point? Law of opposite is going to work.
See, yeah, that
Hear
is
me,
what.
sir?
Yeah,
Can you hear
Kirti?
me?
Yeah?
So,
Uh, yeah.
can you hear? Yeah. This Robert Marx is there, right? Soul Plan author. In one of the sessions, he was saying, we deliberately get these experiences, right? We
Correct.
experience hatred. Why? Because if we feel hatred here, after going, like vacating this body, when we go to our soul family or with there, up there, then we realize how important love is. So their experience is increase. There it increases, it seems, rather than here. Here we are getting that experience so that we can
So
value
there
that.
you are introspecting. The reason there, Kirti, very rightly pointed, why you get it there is there you analyze what you learned, what you didn't learn.
Hmm.
You with me?
Yeah.
There we end up analyzing, which we can bring down to this earth itself by increasing our consciousness.
Yeah.
But very good point. So that is a fourth viewpoint. The fourth viewpoint is there, introspect, but be under the control of the, and not the imagination, but the object. Introspect in the direction of the manifestation, not the against one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
In the
Kirti.
same
That's a good
direction.
point. Very useful point. Yeah.
You may find yourself thinking, I am no one to begin with, or the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, or the world is against me, or money is wrong. People who have it are not spiritual. Oh, people who have it, that means rich are not
No, no.
spiritual.
You
You may,
you go into the mode of justification.
oh, I see. Yeah, correct. Justification, yes. People who have it are not spiritual. So these are all the things people generally think. You may discover again one of numerous beliefs that all leads to the fact that you do not want to have money or afraid of it. In any case, your imagination and your beliefs go hand in hand. You may be trying to remember your dreams. Another example, you may give yourself appropriate suggestions each night only to awaken again with no memory of them. You may say conscious, I want to remember my dreams, but my suggestions do not work. Therefore, what I want on a conscious level has little significance. So again, you're saying my suggestions do not work.
Yeah.
Yet, if you examine your beliefs more carefully, you will find one of many possible beliefs, such as I am afraid to remember my dreams, or my dreams are always unpleasant, or I am afraid to know what what I dream about, or I want to remember my dreams, but they may tell me more than I want to know. So these are all wrong ways. In
So
this
all
case,
your imagination ruling the roost.
yeah, correct. In this case also, your reality colors your beliefs and your experience is a direct result of your conscious attitudes. See, that's why. So, by such attitudes as these mentioned, as these just mentioned, you put clamps upon your inner self. You put clamps on upon yourself for purposely hamper your experience. and reinforce beliefs in the negative aspect of your being. So without knowing, we are putting a, opposite way, negative aspect.
Correct. Your
So
reality
what
colors your beliefs and your experience is direct result of your conscious attitudes. Yeah.
So only by examining ideas of your own uh, can you learn where you stand with yourself. Now,
Correct.
I do not mean the negative. Yeah. Now, I do not mean to stress the negative by any means. So I suggest that you look to those areas of your life in which you are pleased and have done well. See how emotionally and imaginatively you personally reinforced those beliefs and brought them to physical fruition. Realize how naturally and automatically the results appeared. Catch hold of those feelings of accomplishment and understand that you can use the same methods in other areas.
So, what is the takeaway here? Be wary of your imagination. Use that as a power to orient towards manifestation rather than your belief.
Correct.
So what do we do? Like, so when we get the information, so we cannot use our mind to analyze it.
Okay.
At the
See,
minute we are to
I'll give you a
analyze,
practical example. In my team, when I was working, I had one guy who would always talk the negative. Whenever we are doing a bid, he will only talk about why we will not get the bid. I didn't realize all this when I did that. But then I was driven by the desire to win every bid that I participated, which is a natural expectation. And whenever he came out with the objections to why we will not win, right? So now what I did, I told him, from today onwards, Balu, your role is only one thing. Whenever we say we are winning, I will give it 7 out of 10. And you will tell me why we are not going to win, and you will give me weighted points there. So I would put those list of points and strategize how I was going to counter that. It could be in negotiation, it could be in vendor pricing, it could be in all the components that are defining your winning strategy. Are you able to follow the example?
yes, yeah.
So what happens is when you are going to participate in a bid, right? The vendor and service provider relationship is a very, very important paradigm. So what will I do? I have a better relationship with Ramakrishna compared to Ratna. So Ramakrishna, I will give you 2 cents lesser pricing compared to what I give Ratna. Right? So I will increase your chances to win.
Yes.
Right? Now I have identified one area which is going to help me lose, correct? Okay. So I will negotiate with the vendor telling him, I know you have a very strong relationship with those guys, right? How are you going to guarantee equal play if I have to give you an opportunity? I would rather go to the company. There was a company in telecom billing which used to, the name of that was Portal or something, right? So I don't go to him. You want me to come with you. You want to increase your chances to win. And I am giving you a commitment. I am winning this bid. So if you are going to, ultimately, how did I counter? I convinced the vendor to give me half a cent lesser than the price that he would give Ramakrishna. And my imagination was oriented towards my belief that I was going to win. and you will be surprised in a tender pricing. This was call data records, and I won by a margin of 0.0059 paise. Why?
Wow.
When I was submitting the bid, some fear caught me saying there will be two people, the amount that we may give will be a tie. Then I went crazy, and then we increased the imagination. I said, you quote to the 5th decimal in terms of the rupee price. Right? And that is how the 0.0059 paise became the winning one. That guy had quoted 2.25, and then I had quoted 2.25059.
Wow.
Okay. Now, why did I put that 0.59? It was just a last minute.
To increase your, chance, the probability chance.
Correct. Now, effectively 2.25 and top 2.250059, right? Or 2.240059 effectively means 2.25 only. Right? But in a bidding condition, so that was the level of awareness of the winning strategy.
Yeah.
You are seeing how you can use it.
Yeah.
So that became an experience. Now, technically speaking, the pricing was the same. But then why that desire to be L1 of the lowest bidder was very important, because lowest bidder was getting 50% of the territory. The L2, that means the guy who is slightly more than the lowest bidder, was getting 30% of the territory. And the third highest fellow was getting, it was what do you call it? It was actually a 1,500 crore deal.
Yeah.
So it was very important that I get at least 50%.
Interesting.
So now, this is how this imagination better than our belief, or belief better than your imagination, which is important, that paradigm is a very important role in our life.
Yeah.
So whenever we encounter that, and whenever we are trying to manifest, that becomes a very important paradigm. So this Balu got the role of always playing the negative role in the team, and he was getting awarded for it also. Because but for those questions, pardon?
Patriji always used to say, he used to get very upset if somebody says anything negative in front of him. Whenever, on the stage or anywhere.
There is nothing impossible. Correct.
Yeah. And he always used to say to everybody, say yes to everything immediately. Never say, I cannot do, or it's difficult, never say, that. And in even like raising money or constructing pyramid, buying land, anything, he was like that. Like I remember.
Those who are in the East Coast, or have been in the East Coast, would have heard Reverend Robert H. Sculler. He is the one who built the Crystal Cathedral, starting with $1 in his pocket. Right. He wrote 2 books which are part of my memory wherever I go. He titled the books. The title caught me, and my situation it was very well aligned to in my office. The takeaway, the title was "Success is never ending, and failure is never final." The other way around, of course. Failure is never final. Success is never ending.
Hmm.
And then another book that he had written was Tough Times Never Last, but Tough
Tough.
People Do. Right? You should pick up these two books and read. They're
What is
not
this
very big
man's
books.
name
I
again?
don't have them, otherwise I would have shared it. Robert H. Schuller, he is the author. Schuller. He was the father who came up with building the Crystal Cathedral. Now I think that Crystal Cathedral has been sold or it has gone out of his hands. He is also no more. But then, very inspiring.
Okay.
Yeah, let's continue.
Get hold of those feelings of accomplishment and understand that you can use the same method in other areas.
Correct. So,
So,
whatever was my learning is applicable everywhere else.
correct.
Right. So,
The successful one, you take it and learn from it.
correct, correct. Very well. Yeah.
Yeah,
End
Jane
of
came
it.
slowly out of. She announced a little for the title for the next chapter, which will be fine. It had just come to her, the future and your present beliefs. But I think there is still a little tail left to this chapter first, she said, eyes closed. She sank back into her rocker. It took an extra effort to rouse herself enough to go to bed. A note added later. I was wrong about this being the title of the next chapter, Jane wrote in November, but I know it will be one. However, not only was the end of this chapter not so imminent, Seth never did use Jane's suggested chapter heading. Oh, okay. Okay.
I think we will stop here because it's a nice state of stopping that lesson. And in whatever project that you are currently undergoing, try to bring about this or apply this belief system stronger than your imagination. Rather than
Imagination.
imagination ruling over your belief system. Try to apply, identify one area where you would like to practically implement this. Kirti, any project from from our unified that you can think of wherein this will play a very important role?
See, in your case, about your health,
Sorry, I was away from my laptop.
Chandra Garu, in your case, I heard from your that foot problem. You constantly you're thinking all the positive ones, not to think about whatever the doctor said, you just ignored and thinking constantly that it
I
is
used to
healing.
say that is his point of view, not mine. Whatever the doctor said, I would say that is his point of view, not mine. My point of view is I am going to heal myself.
See, otherwise, even in Dr. Joe Dispenza said, otherwise, in that situation, whatever the doctor said, that comes interferes.
We give it more credence than our own ability, and he doesn't know us. The pity or the reality of the situation is he doesn't know.
Yes.
He is giving me his impression based on what he has been taught or what he has learned. Why should I take that as the gospel truth? And right? So this kind of thinking is very, very important for us. Yeah. No, I was just telling Kirti, if you can think of some project
Yeah, there
that
is
can
now
manage it. Yeah,
team is thinking of a website for Unified.
ah,
So it can reach to a lot of people, and in social media, we can post some cards in the Instagram or Facebook somewhere
correct.
so that it can reach more people. That's a project now,
No, I think
planning.
we should take it.
Hmm. Yeah.
More and more awareness to people. Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and
Yeah.
you are sending all your attention to the universe. I never knew that was manifestation. Let me be very honest. Had I known, probably I may have had my own doubts there, right? And then today I am able to look behind and say that all those are aligned to this. But then that time, that single desire, which as Kirti had pointed out, I had introspected on it when I was lying idle and in the hospital bed for 1.5 months. Right. And then after that only, when I came out, during that time I said, I have to come out, I have to come out, I have to come out. The how was not clear. When we start creating the plan of how we are going to do it, that is where our imagination goes against our belief system. That means our imagination based on the past belief system rather than the conscious direction that I want to take, which is the outcome of the initiative. So it will help us if we are able to create this as the theme.
I currently want Telugu Unified to be released soon, sir. Telugu translation of Unified. There are a lot people, like lot of them are waiting. Yesterday, uh, I
But
took a
then
session
they
in.
did not, our Sudhakar mentioned in one of the lectures saying that Telugu is already ready.
I don't know. Like what I heard is Telugu is get picked by someone and it is getting dropped. Picked by someone, getting dropped. This is what is happening.
Okay, we will start. Then let us only do it if nobody else is there. Bring it to a certain stage and then hand it over to them. I'll identify someone. There is one Supriya Ganji whom I have already entrusted that activity.
Okay.
She has built her
Probably
own very
Sudhakar
well.
garu should have more information. I'll ask him till where it has come to.
Yeah,
Then we can. Yeah.
we can. We will
Hmm.
identify 2, 3 people here who will run with it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then any
Oh,
other
sir,
Thank you.
observation, any other point that people want to make here?
sir, I want to say something.
Yes, yes.
So this law of opposites, okay,
Hmm.
let us all forget it and do not tell anybody about it, because this itself is causing an iota of a doubt.
No, no. We have to tell everyone to make them aware that please remember law of opposite will first manifest. Identify
No,
that. Build
I
it.
am no, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you on this point here.
Hmm.
See, if I used to travel from Hyderabad to Madras when I used to work there,
Hmm.
and many times there were accidents, many times the train reach did not on time. But I never focused on it, or I was. So the awareness that, okay, there is a possibility of delay itself is going to dilute your manifestation
No
process.
way. When you don't have too many options, you will stick to that. You see, if you take train as the example, in those days that you are talking of traveling,
Yeah.
right? Buses were not enough. They were not comfortable. Traveling the distance between Hyderabad and this one, flights were not affordable. So, what is the alternative?
No, I agree with you on that. There is no choice.
Correct.
But my point is, like, when you are when you are working on a single desire to get a contract or get a bid,
But
get a
then how
job.
are you going to the first opportunity where there is a failure, you will give up? How am I to counter that you are giving up when you are attempting something and it doesn't work? The very first counterproductive experience that you go through, you will give up. I don't want you to give up. I want you to stay focused on that. How will you overcome that? Just give me an answer for that. How will you overcome?
So the reason is like,
So I will educate you saying, see, you will encounter challenges. One of the challenges may come as though you are not going to get what you are desiring. Be aware of that, but stay focused on your goal. I need to tell you that, right?
No, okay. No, my point is, see, in all projects, like whether it is an IT development project or winning a bid or whatever, we always have been analyzing what can go wrong, who else can get it, what are my strengths, what are your other party's strengths, SWOT analysis and all that. We are doing it as a logical mind. But at that time, we have a desire to get the project or get the bid or complete the project, but never trying to do a manifestation in the spiritual line, really.
No, even
Okay,
spiritual line, the same. Your thought process is the one that you have to stay focused on the goal.
but I know, but point is like today, I am thinking that, okay, any dilution of my commitment is going to manifest an opposite thing itself
But
is a
then
negative force on me.
I agree. That is the objective with which you are doing that act.
Yeah.
Okay. But are you 100% sure you will not encounter any challenge which will force you to give up?
No, I cannot say that.
You cannot say that. So if I am conscious that I am going to encounter a challenge, right? And I still have to win, then what happens? That challenge becomes a minuscule irritant in my pathway. And I will navigate my journey either circumventing that or overcoming that. So if I am not conscious of that, the very first instance of a roadblock can switch my focus off. Are you getting me what I'm trying to convey?
I think so. Like see, in case of our IT projects and other things, we always do what if analysis. I agree. But I am sure Joe Dispenza did not do what if analysis lying on his bed.
He did it. He used to stop his process then and there and start from the beginning till he overcame that. You read the introduction and the preface.
Okay.
Again.
I know. Yeah, I agree with that point. Yes, he did. He restarted many times.
He will restart. Why is he restarting? He wants to strengthen. He is aware that the blockage is enough to introduce a negative experience. Okay. So, in order to go, for example, let us say people want to build the pyramid in Atlanta. Okay. Entire East Coast is putting its effort. They encounter a roadblock, no space available, or there is some regulation which comes. Will you stop that effort? Or will you treat it that, oh, my movement in terms of my manifestation is one step closer because the law of negative has come and shown itself. It means the positive is just behind. I should give up at this stage. How are you going to create that kind of a?
Okay, I get your point. Okay.
Right. So this has got both the sides taking your point into the discussion. It has got your input also saying that I may probably be sending by becoming aware of it. I'm not saying become aware of it and leave it at that. Become aware of it and put it under your management ability so that even if it comes, you are ready. You are taking it to the next level. Are you with me? Right? So think about it that way, because we cannot 100% predict the pathway of our success. So there may be somebody who is very powerful in your organization who says this will not happen. And till that year in India, they had not, in that particular year, the company I was working for, they had never won a contract in India. And this one project changed the entire paradigm. After that, there was a rain of projects in India also.
Oh, we can stop recording.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
we need to look at how this imagination and belief can be utilized to get into our goalpost.